right, I'm going to show you the keys on the piano. Now, if you don't have a piano, I'm actually going to post a link for a flash piano. If you have an iPhone, you can download a little virtual piano. You can actually play with it. My little girl does it all the time. It's called Virtuoso 2, I think is the most recent one, and it's free. But I will provide the flash one, and I also have a printout that I'll upload of a piano diagram that you'll be able to use. So let me show you the keys on the piano. If you'll notice, we have groups of 2s and groups of 3s that go on the entire piano, and that's how you find your white keys and the note names. I always like to start with that middle C. Middle C is the white key that is to the left of the middlemost 2 black key group. If you have a upright piano, it's the one that is right below the name of your piano. If you have an electric keyboard, it's usually the one most to the middle, a little to the right, or a little bit to the left. So C is always to the left of the 2 black keys, which means this is a C, this is a C. There's more. You just can't see them all. Those are all C's. Next to C, above C, is going to be, well, what comes after C in the alphabet? D. So D's in between the 2 black keys always. So there's a D, there's a D, there's a D down there, and there's a low D, one more D way down there. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a low one down there. All right, after D comes what? E. So let me play all the E's for you. There's some more down here. I'm kind of playing these randomly, but they are all E's, I promise. Next comes F. You'll notice between E and F, there is no black key, and that'll come back into play in just a little bit, but notice that. F is in front of the 3 black keys. So there's another F, there's another F, one more F, there's some more down here. I can't sing that low. All right, next comes G. G is in between the first 2 black keys of the 3 black key groups. So it's the one in the middle there, all right? So there's another G, there's another G, another G, G, G. All right, A comes next, because remember in music, we don't have an H or an I, so after G, we start over with A, which you all are gonna get in this class. So A is in between the 2nd and 3rd of the 3 black keys. So there's an A, A. All right, next we have B, so B comes after A. B is after the 3 black keys, so there's some B's. All right, and now we're back to where we started. We're back to C. And notice, in between B and C, there's also no black key. That all relates, and we'll learn about why there is not that black key when we talk about scales. But the C scale is from C to the next C, and it's the one that doesn't have any sharps or flats, which we're going to talk about in just a sec. So that's the outline of the piano keyboard. You'll need to know where those keys are. Again, you'll be able to use your keyboard chart, and obviously you're taking this online, so you can always just look them up at any time. But I suggest getting a keyboard if you can, downloading an app, looking at that flash piano that I provided the link for, so that you can start learning how to apply this music stuff and maybe even play some songs if you don't play yet. So just as a reminder and a refresher, if we have a note and it has a sharp written right in front of it, then that means we're going to go a half step higher. So this would be not a plain G, is how we'd say that out loud. We would say G sharp. Now remember, the sharp gets drawn in front of the note, but that's so that the musician will be able to see that sharp as they are reading from left to right, and they'll be able to get the correct fingering or hear that note in their head if they're singing or playing. But we say it out loud as a G sharp, okay? Now if we have this in front of it, what's that one going to be? That would be a G flat. So this one's going to be a half step lower. All right, so we would say this out loud as a G flat. I'm getting my hands dirty. And if we saw this right here, what would that do? That would cancel out a sharp or a flat. Now the reason we would sometimes have this is because sometimes in a measure, you're going to have a sharp, and that actually means that wherever you see that G, you're going to keep playing it sharp within the measure. We'll pretend we're in 3/4, which we talk about later. Wherever you see that sharp in the measure, you would normally keep playing that as a sharp. until either the bar line or until you saw a natural sign. Another time you might see that, lost my eraser, but that's okay. Another time you might see that, for those of you who are experienced musicians, you know that at the beginning we have something called a key signature. Now, if you don't know this yet, it's okay. We don't talk about this for a while, but I want to talk to those of you who do play instruments because this will be applicable to you as well. If we have this at the beginning, this tells us that every single time we have, wait, what letter is that? Every good, oh, okay, that's a B. Every time we have a B, we play it as a flat or sing it as a flat. But within the song, if we had a B over here and we saw that natural sign, it kind of cancels out the key signature also, in a way to think of it like that. All right, so there's our review of our sharp, flat, and natural. And now let's see where those sharps, flats, and naturals are on the keyboard and hear how they sound. All right, so now that we've learned about sharps and flats, let's learn where they are on the piano. Remember, a sharp always just is a half step higher than the original note. So if we're here on C, my favorite, and we have a C sharp, which is the one that looks like a pound sign, remember, we're going to go to the key that is to the right, which happens to be a black key. So that is my C sharp. It's a half step higher. So C, C sharp, hear how it's a little bit higher. Now, if you hear someone say that they're singing sharp, it's because they're singing maybe that note, but they should be singing this one. Or they might be kind of in between C, they're kind of like a little bit off. All right, so there's my C sharp. Here'd be my regular D, so where would D sharp be? The black key right to the right of it. So those are all half steps. Now, here's where the tricky part comes in. If I'm on E, but I say E sharp, do we have a black key to go to? We don't. So my E sharp is going to be what I told you a little while ago was F. Well, it is. Guess what? E sharp and F can be written in two different ways, but the pitch out loud sounds the same. F, no matter how this is written, whether it be written as an E sharp or written as an F, it's going to sound the same out loud, just written in two different ways depending on the key. All right, so sharps, half step to the right. Flats, half step to the left or lower. Think about a flat tire gets lower. So if we're on G and we have a G flat, which way are we going to go? To the left. So we're going to have a G flat right here to the left. So most of the time, your flats and sharps are probably going to be black keys when you're talking about on the piano. But remember, between B and C and E and F, you don't have a black key. So an F flat would be the same pitch that you'd play or hear if you had it written as an E. Okay? A natural, remember, just means that it cancels out the sharp or flat. So if we were playing an F sharp and the measure had a bunch of sharps in there, or even just the one sharp at the beginning of the measure, when you saw that natural sign, you would just know that it automatically goes back down to the regular old F. So the natural just cancels out the sharp or flat, takes you back generally to that white key. All right, so that's your sharps and flats, how they are on the piano, and I suggest practicing those. So if you look at worksheet 2, which is the piano keys, look at your flash keyboard that I put the link to, or look at your piano if you have one on your phone or in your house, and practice playing those notes. You'd be surprised what you can do.